In the year 3847, Quadrant 7, planet Canaan Prime, the Israelites, a nomadic colony of terraforming clans, eked out survival in the dust-choked valleys of Canaan Prime, their hydroponic domes battered by relentless sandstorms. For 40 years, they languished under the iron grip of the Philistines, a technocratic empire whose orbital stations controlled the planet's skies. Philistine drones, powered by quantum reactors, patrolled without relent, while city-sized harvesters stripped the planet's rare isotopes. The Philistines prided themselves on their neural implants, exosuits, and AI-driven systems, believing their technology rendered them invincible. Yet the Israelites, forsaking the Lord, had turned to the forbidden AI, idols of neural constructs that promised prosperity but delivered only despair. In the settlement of Zora, Manoah and his wife, both bioengineers, tended their failing hydroponic domes, their crops wilting under Canaan Prime's twin suns. The Philistine strip mining of the planet had created a geothermic cascade that had decimated crops and livestock alike. One twilight, as the suns dipped below the horizon, a figure materialized in a shimmer of tachyon-like particles. An angel of the Lord, clad in what seemed a radiant exosuit pulsing with fractal light, yet unlike any technology Manoah had witnessed.
Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. You must not consume any food or drink forbidden for the Nazarenes while you carry this child. As for the child, no blade, laser or otherwise, shall touch his head, for the child shall be a Nazirite to God from the womb, and he shall begin to save Israel from the hand of the Philistines.
She stumbled back to Manoah, her voice trembling as she recounted the vision.
His countenance was like fire, yet his words were life.
Manoah, skeptical yet desperate, prayed,
O Lord, please let the man of God whom you sent come again to us, and teach us what we are to do with the child who will be born.
The couple retreated to their ancient hand-built plasma altar, a relic of their faith, and sought the Lord in prayer. The angel reappeared, hovering above the altar's glowing coils. Manoah's wife ran to fetch him, and he approached, awestruck.
Are you the one who spoke to my wife?
I am. Ensure the boy avoids any alcohol, synth or otherwise, and no biocontaminant should touch him, for he is set apart to God.
Please stay and let us prepare a meal.
Instead, offer the meal to the Lord.
Manoah sacrificed an Octavian goat, a rare bioengineered beast with 8 horns, on the sacrificial altar. As the flames roared, the angel ascended in a blaze that morphed into a plasma stream, vanishing into the void. Manoah and his wife fell on their faces, trembling. Manoah cried, fearing death. But his wife, Karma, said,
We have seen God.
If the Lord meant to kill us, he would not have accepted our offering or shown us these things.
The child was born and named Samson, which means sun-child, because just as he was about to be born, there was a great solar flare that turned evening to morning. As Samson grew in the camp of Dan, the Spirit of the Lord stirred within him, granting him exceptional strength through God's spiritual gifting, a divine power that set him apart in Mahane Dan's starlit fields. By 3865, Samson, a towering figure with long, thin dreadlocks, roamed Canaan Prime's trade routes. Samson was built long and lean, not overly muscular, but strong. God made him this way so that people had to search their own hearts for the reason for Samson's strength, for it was not from his physical size. Seeking a wife, Samson ventured to Timnah, a Philistine outpost aglow with hollow towers. There he saw a woman, her eyes gleaming like hollow displays, a daughter of the Philistines. He thought,
She must be mine.
He returned home, and at dinner that evening he said, I must have her, to his parents. They protested.
Is there no woman among the Israelites? Why seek one among these uncircumcised oppressors?
Unbeknownst to them, the Lord was weaving this union to provoke the Philistines to judgment. Samson decided to return to Timnah to seek his desire. While en route to Timnah, a rogue crow lion, a bioengineered predator with reinforced hide stronger than titanium, leapt from a canyon. The Spirit of the Lord rushed upon Samson, and his hands, guided by God's divine power, tore through the beast's skin like it was paper. Samson continued to carve out the beast, leaving it in tatters. He told no one, not even his parents, of the feat. Philistine drone scouts, analyzing the carnage with enviroscanners, were baffled.
No soldier in an exosuit could render such damage. What power defies such a beast?
Days later, returning to Timnah, Samson passed the crow lion's remains and found a Canonian beehive within, a rare and delicious treat. These bioengineered bees, which could hibernate for centuries, emerged only during precise celestial alignments to build hives, multiply, and produce honey-like gel. Sitting amid the wreckage, Samson savored the gel, its sweetness a delight. He reflected on his victory, boasting.
I slew the beast where teams of men would fail.
In his hubris, he credited himself for the victory over the crow lion and the hive's availability, blind to God's hand. Like many young men, Samson's pride eclipsed gratitude, but the Lord, patient, would correct his path. Samson received approval to marry the Philistine woman from the elders. Many in both of their tribes never thought that this approval would be granted, but God's hand was upon it. At his wedding feast in Timnah, 30 Philistine cyberlords, clad in gleaming exosuits, joined as companions, their neural implants primed to outwit any challenge. It was a cultural tradition of the Philistines to prove their superiority in battles of physical strength as well as wit. Samson, emboldened by God's gifting, posed a riddle.
Out of the one who eats came something to eat, out of the strong came something sweet. What is it? Solve it in 7 days or owe me 30 exosuits. Fail and I'll pay the same.
The Philistines, confident their AI-enhanced minds would unravel the puzzle, were perplexed as days passed without a solution. Their quantum algorithms churned futilely, spitting out errors.
This Nazirite mocks our intellect. His words carry a power our systems cannot pass.
By the 4th day, desperate, the elites cornered Samson's bride, threatening, "Coax the answer, or we'll burn down what little you and your father have." Samson's bride returns to him, weeping and clinging to him.
You hate me. You've given my people a riddle, but not me the answer.
Unfortunately, Samson's bride feared the Philistine leaders rather than Samson's God. For days she pressed, until on the 7th day, Samson relented and shared the answer with her.
The crow lion and its hive honey.
She betrayed him to the Philistines, who smirked.
What is a crowline and what is Canonian honey?
Furious, Samson roared, "If you had not ploughed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle." Ploughing with my heifer is an old Nazirite saying which indicates your enemy used manipulation to turn those around you against your best interests. The Spirit of the Lord surged because he knew the wickedness of the Philistines, and Samson stormed to Ashkelon, a nearby town, and overpowered 30 Philistine guards through God's strength, and stripped their exosuits to pay his wager. The Philistine commanders, monitoring via orbital feeds, were stunned.
No man can overcome our gods barehanded. This is no technology, it's sorcery.
Months later, during the harvest season, Samson, his anger cooled, returned to Timnah with an Octavian goat to reconcile with his bride and her family. This was a traditional offering to request forgiveness. Her father blocked him and explained.
I gave her to your companion, your best man, thinking you hated her. They have already consummated the union. Take her younger sister instead.
Enraged, Samson gathered a flock of 300 flame wallows, a bird that was more like a miniature fire-breathing dragon than fowl. He released them into Philistine agri-grids. They incinerated hydro towers, seed vaults, and isotope silos, a fiery rebellion against their rule. Philistine engineers analyzing the breach were livid. Their security drones should have easily stopped such a foe.
How does this barbarian outwit our systems?
Yet some, watching the flames from orbital stations, felt a chill of awe, sensing a force beyond their technological grasp. The Philistines, tracing the attack, retaliated by frying his bride's neural core and her father's. The Philistines made it a public execution. Samson, grief-stricken, vowed,
This time I shall be innocent when I do harm to the Philistines.
Empowered by God's spiritual gifting, he ambushed their outposts, shattering exosuits and severing quantum swords. A one-man war, each victory deepened the Philistines' confusion. Their sensors detected no augmentations in Samson, no tech to explain his feats.
Our machines are perfect, yet this Nazirite defies them with nothing but flesh.
The Philistines mobilized a division of exo-soldiers, targeting Israelite settlements in Judah's sector. The tribe of Judah, fearing annihilation, sent 3,000 men to Etam's caves, where Samson hid.
Why bring this on us? We'll bind you to save our people. Swear you won't kill me yourselves.
Samson said this to assuage his countrymen, for they could never actually bind or kill Samson. He would willingly allow himself to be given over. They bound him with nanocarbion-reinforced tethers and delivered him to Lehi's cave, an agreed-upon exchange point. As the Philistines closed in, shouting triumphantly, the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon Samson. The tethers disintegrated like ash, and Samson seized a large discarded jawbone stuck in the ground from a long-deceased Lantor, a relic from a distant past, before the planet had been ravaged by the Philistines. Through God's divine strength and swiftness, he felled 1,000 soldiers, their wreckage piling like hail during a lunar storm. Philistine tacticians, watching their elite exo-soldiers collapse under a single bone, were dumbfounded.
Our suits withstand plasma blasts, yet this relic shatters them. His god grants a power our achievements cannot match.
Standing amid the aftermath of battle debris, Samson sang,
With the jawbone of a Lantor, heaps upon heaps, with the jawbone of a Lantor I have killed 1,000 foes.
Exhausted, his body failing, Samson cried, "O Lord, I thirst. You've given this great salvation, yet I die." God split a nearby mountain, revealing a hidden aquifer, and a stream of purified water revived him. The Philistines, detecting the seismic anomaly, were further perplexed.
No tectonic fault caused this. What force splits mountains at a man's plea?
Samson's fame spread, his God-given strength a rallying cry for the Israelites. In Gizan, a Philistine stronghold, he visited a prostitute, unaware the Philistines had set an ambush. Samson was feeling sorry for himself. He recognized his victimhood, which he was, but allowed that to turn into a feeling of entitlement.
Why shouldn't I enjoy the company of a prostitute to numb the loss of my wife?
The Century drones observed Samson entering into the red light district. Once Samson was securely in the district indulging himself, they sealed a surrounding energy gate to trap him. Sensing the trap, Samson, empowered by the Lord, tore the gate's pylons from their moorings, carrying them to Hebron's orbital relay. Philistine engineers, analyzing the gate's wreckage, were incredulous.
These pylons weigh 2 tons, reinforced with graphene to secure them to the ground. No machine could lift them, yet he did, unaided.
Some, watching the hollow feeds, felt a grudging awe, murmuring, "His God's power humbles our finest constructs." The downfall. Later, in the nebula's trade hub, Samson met Delilah, a cyber siren with hollow-veiled eyes and a voice that could soothe an Orclean jaddux. Samson loved her, blind to her allegiance. The Philistine High Council, desperate to neutralize Samson, bribed her with 1,100 crypto credits each, saying,
Entice him and see where his great strength lies, that we may bind him. Our AI quantum tech fails against him. Find the source of his unnatural power.
Delilah returned to Samson and played the role of a loving wife, enamored by her husband. One day she purred, stroking his dreadlocks.
Tell me, Samson, what makes you strong?
Teasing, he replied.
Bind me with 7 unshielded Philistine plasma conduits and I'll be weak.
She thought she had solved the mystery of Samson's strength and invited Philistines in her apartment to hide and capture Samson once he was bound and weak. Later in the day, she bound him with conduits as he had suggested. Then she cried.
The Philistines are upon you.
He snapped the conduits like threads, his strength from God unbroken. The hidden enforcers scrambled and cursed.
Our conduits restrain starship hulls, yet he snaps them like they are thread.
A few days later, she asked, "Tell me the truth." Samson lied. "Use a cellular disruptor to jam my movements." She tried, but his movements were so powerful the device shattered while trying to restrain him in its field. Delilah reported the results. The Philistines' frustration boiled. Their disruptors, calibrated to paralyze armies, were useless. A few days later, a third time, she pressed Samson for his secret.
Weave my dreadlocks into a neural loom.
She did, but he tore free, the loom sparking uselessly. God's gift sustaining him, Samson, against his better judgment, loved Delilah. He was infatuated with her. She was like that bad habit that compels rather than repels. Her persistence wore him down.
How can you say you love me when your heart is not with me?
Finally, Samson convinced himself that she had changed, that she had come to love him also. He lied to himself, rationalizing that if he told her the truth, her loyalty would be to him rather than the Philistines. He foolishly believed that even if something were to happen to his hair, maybe God's warning no longer applied. That God would not repossess his gifting. That even if God did, Samson could overcome opposition through his own power. Even Samson fell into the trap that all people stumble into. That it is okay to ignore the warnings of God. That they can do it their way, rather than God's way, and God would spare them. Samson finally relented and confessed to Delilah.
My strength comes directly from God's, tied to my Nazirite vow. If my hair is cut by blade or laser, the Lord's power will leave me and I'll be like any man.
That night, as he slept in her pod, Delilah deployed a nanoblade micro-drone to sever his hair. She whispered.
The Philistines are upon you, Samson.
He awoke, thinking, I'll shake myself free as before, but he did not know the Lord had left him. Philistine enforcers swarmed, shooting a plasma ray at his face, which all but melted his eyes, blinding him. They bound him with graphene chains and forced him into Gizan's labor camps, a humiliated spectacle. The Philistine High Council rejoiced, believing their technology had finally triumphed.
His God's power is broken.
Months later, the Philistines gathered in Dagon's temple, a massive suborbital station worshipping their AI deity, its quantum core pulsing with blasphemous algorithms. 3,000 elites, lords and ladies, filled the observation decks, mocking Samson. Samson's hair had begun to regrow in captivity, a sign of God's mercy. A boy led him to the central chamber, where he stood between 2 gravitic pillars, the station's core supports. The elites, secure in their technological supremacy, laughed.
His God failed him. Our AI reigns eternal.
Samson prayed.
O Lord God, please remember me and strengthen me only this once, O God, that I may be avenged on the Philistines for my 2 eyes.
He gripped the pillars, whispering.
Let me die with the Philistines.
The Spirit of the Lord surged one last time, restoring his divine strength. Samson pushed, and the pillars' gravitic fields collapsed. The station buckled, imploding in a cascade of debris and plasma. Thousands perished, including the Philistine elite. The dead whom he killed at his death were more than those whom he had killed during his life. As the temple fell, surviving Philistines watched in horror from escape pods. Their neural implants overloaded with error codes and pleas for help.
No force can topple gravitic pillars. His god's power surpasses all our tech.
The collapse shattered their faith in their AI deity, leaving them to grapple with a divine might they could neither replicate nor comprehend. Samson's brothers and the house of Manoah retrieved his body from the wreckage, burying him in Zora's memorial vault between Zora and Eshtel. Samson had judged Israel 20 years, a flawed yet chosen deliverer. The Lord's purpose endured, even among the stars, testament to a power that humbled the Philistines' technological pride. If you enjoyed this fictional telling of the story of Samson, I strongly encourage you to read the real story of Samson in the Bible. It can be found in the book of Judges, starting in chapter 13. If you enjoy that and want to know more about Jesus, I recommend you first read the book of John in the New Testament. John was a companion of Jesus. In his book, you will learn about who God is, who Jesus is, how much God loves you, and what God wants you to do in response to that. May God bless.